What if you could break their control without saying a word? What if the most powerful way to win wasn't to fight back, but to mentally disappear? Most people think the only way to reclaim power is to walk away, to go no contact, to cut ties, to vanish physically. But there's a more advanced move, more surgical, more silent, more disorienting. It's called mental withdrawal. You don't leave the room. You don't block their number. You don't even raise your voice. You just stop being mentally present. You disconnect your emotional current. You retract your energetic presence. You go quiet, not with your words, but with your mind. And suddenly, they can't reach you anymore, even when you're standing right in front of them, because manipulators don't control your body. They control your attention, your focus, your mental space. That's what they feed on. That's what gives them leverage. That's what makes their tactics work. But when you pull your mind out of the equation, they lose their power source. They say something provocative. You feel nothing. They try to guilt you. You respond with silence. They seek emotional engagement. You offer none. You become unreachable without leaving, and that's what confuses them most. Because control requires entanglement. It requires your mental availability. When you stop giving it, they spiral, they grasp, they escalate, but they can't touch you anymore because you're not mentally there. That's the brilliance of mental withdrawal. It's subtle, it's clean, it's cold, and it doesn't just shift the dynamic. It destroys the manipulative framework from within. In this video, we'll break down what mental withdrawal really is, why manipulators fear it more than no contact, how to use it as a weapon without creating open war, and how to stay cold, calm, and unshakable while their entire strategy collapses. Because sometimes you don't need to fight, you don't need to explain, you don't need to leave. You just need to stop offering your mind and let them feel what true absence really means. Let's begin. Part 1. What is mental withdrawal? Most people misunderstand withdrawal. They think it means physical distance, cutting contact, going silent, disappearing. But mental withdrawal is something far more strategic. It's not about vanishing from their sight. It's about becoming mentally unreachable, even while you're right there. You're in the room, but your energy is not. You're speaking, but your essence is silent. You're interacting, but you're no longer accessible. This is mental withdrawal, the deliberate removal of your emotional presence, your psychological investment, your energetic attention. You stop participating in the emotional loop. You stop responding with feeling. You stop offering internal availability. And this subtle shift is what dismantles the manipulator's game. Because they don't actually want your body. They want your mind. They want your attention, your reactions, your emotional data. They need you engaged so they can manipulate, provoke, extract control. But when you withdraw mentally, something terrifying happens for them. They lose access, without understanding why. They can see you, they can hear you, but they can't reach you anymore. Your eyes don't mirror their energy. Your voice doesn't vibrate with emotional charge. Your responses don't carry emotional weight. You've become a wall, calm, still, unreadable. And this absence creates confusion they're not trained to handle. Because mental withdrawal is not rebellion, it's not defiance, it's not passive aggressiveness. It's disengagement by design. You stop feeding the system without noise, without drama, without explanation. And that's what makes it so powerful. Because when the manipulator throws their tactics at you, and nothing sticks, they start to unravel. They feel something is missing. But they can't describe it. They can't attack it. They can't fix it, because it's not something you said. It's what you stopped giving. Your presence used to be their mirror. Now it's a void. Your energy used to be their fuel. Now it's gone. Your reactions used to be their compass. Now they're lost. And that's the art of mental withdrawal. You don't leave the battlefield. You just remove your energy from it and let them fight with shadows. Part 2. Why manipulators crave mental occupancy. Control doesn't happen in the body, it happens in the mind. That's why manipulators don't just want your presence. They want mental occupancy. They want real estate inside your thoughts. They want to sit in the front row of your attention span. They want access to your inner dialogue, your fears, your guilt, your uncertainty. Because the more mental space you give them, the easier it is to steer your behavior from the inside out. And here's what most people don't realize. Manipulation isn't about what they say. It's about how much of your thinking they control when they're not even speaking. 1. They want to hijack your thought loop. A skilled manipulator doesn't need to shout. They just plant an idea and let you obsess over it. Did I say something wrong? What if I hurt them? Are they upset with me? What should I do to fix it? Now they've taken root inside your mind, and they don't have to lift a finger. You're doing their work for them. 2. They thrive on your emotional hyper-awareness. Every manipulator knows, the more emotionally aware you are of them, the more control they have. They want you watching their mood, analyzing their silence, adjusting your energy based on their tone. This turns you into a psychological servant, constantly scanning for cues to stay safe or stay useful. They don't even need to ask. You've already trained yourself to stay attuned to them. 3. Your mental availability fuels their strategy. When your mind stays open to them, they get leverage. They know which buttons to press. They sense when you're vulnerable. They feel when your energy is off balance. That's why they fear mental withdrawal more than physical distance. Because when your mind closes, their influence evaporates. They no longer know how to play you. They no longer feel powerful. They no longer have access to what really matters, your inner world. 4. They need reaction to validate their existence. Manipulators don't crave peace, they crave relevance. And the way they measure relevance is through your reaction. When you react, they feel real. When you explain, they feel superior. When you defend, they feel in control. But when you go mentally still, when your energy goes flat, when your thoughts stop orbiting them, they feel invisible. And for a manipulator, invisibility is death. That's why mental withdrawal is not just a tactic, it's a psychological cutoff point. You're not just walking away, you're removing them from your consciousness. And that's a loss no manipulator can tolerate. Part 3. The psychology of absence, when your presence feels missing. Manipulators don't panic when you shout. They panic when you vanish, mentally, emotionally, energetically, because they don't control you through conflict. They control you through connection. They rely on feeling your presence, your emotions, your reactions, your energy flow. Even your silence, if it's charged, still feeds them. But when that energy goes flat, cold, distant, they feel something deeper than rejection. They feel irrelevance. 1. Absence is more disturbing than silence. Silence can be decoded, but emotional absence is a void they cannot read. You're talking, but you're not invested. You're listening, but you're not absorbing. You're interacting, but they can't feel your inner current. This disconnect without departure is the most disorienting force manipulators ever encounter. Because now, they can't mirror you, they can't provoke you, they can't find the emotional hook they always used. 2. Indifference feels like abandonment. Manipulators are addicted to emotional intensity. Even if it's chaos, conflict, or guilt, they prefer it over stillness. But when you respond with calm detachment, when your presence offers no emotional charge, they begin to feel emotionally abandoned. And that's what they can't process. Not your anger, not your silence, but your neutrality. Because neutrality communicates a brutal truth: they no longer matter. 3. Emotional void triggers their desperation. You're no longer feeding their need for emotional relevance. And that void drives them into confusion, then escalation. They may become louder, more erratic, more manipulative. They'll try to provoke any emotion just to confirm they still exist inside your mind. But your stillness is louder than any scream. You've pulled the plug, and now they're drowning in their own echo. 4. Mental withdrawal feels like psychological erasure. It's not just absence, it's invisibility at the deepest level. You didn't leave them physically, but you deleted them from your mental operating system. And this triggers a crisis inside them. Why can't I feel them anymore? Why is nothing I do working? Why do I feel like I'm talking to a wall? Because you are. You've built a psychological firewall they can't penetrate. 5. They start questioning their own power. When their usual tactics fail, they begin doubting themselves, not because you said anything, but because your stillness reflects their growing irrelevance. This is the silent collapse of control, and it begins the moment you stop responding internally, not externally. So how do you withdraw mentally, precisely, silently, without triggering conflict? Part 4. How to practice tactical mental withdrawal. Mental withdrawal isn't passive. It's not emotional shutdown. It's not stonewalling. It's a deliberate tactic, executed with control, precision, and calm detachment. You're not reacting. You're not retaliating. You're not playing games. You're simply reclaiming control over your energetic availability without making a sound. Here's how to do it right. 1. Reduce eye contact, but not abruptly. You don't need to avoid them. You just stop feeding them with your gaze. Look through, not into. Keep your eyes calm, focused elsewhere, not on their emotional cues. No intensity, no warmth, no challenge. Just subtle disengagement from their visual field. They'll feel it, but they won't be able to name it. 2. Speak in facts, not feelings. Emotional entanglement thrives on reactive language. Cut the emotional charge. Switch to neutral, factual speech. Instead of, "I feel hurt when you," say, "That's noted. I hear you. Let's move forward." Cold, clear, emotionless. No hooks, no entry points. You're there, but untouchable. 3. Maintain flat emotional tone. Tone is the manipulator's radar. If your voice still carries tension, frustration, or affection, they'll sense access. Keep your delivery flat, controlled, calm. Not cold to provoke, cold to protect. You're not blocking emotion, you're withdrawing emotional access. 4th stop, mirroring their energy. Manipulators love to lead the emotional tempo and watch you match it. They raise tension, you raise tension. They shift tone, you shift tone. They explode, you engage. Now, you break that pattern. You stay still. You don't match their rhythm. You become emotionally neutral no matter how they escalate, and that confuses the system completely. 5. Withdraw internally during interaction. Even while you're in conversation, mentally pull back. Stop overthinking your words. Stop analyzing their emotions. Stop giving internal attention. Instead, go inward. Focus on your breath. Hold internal clarity. Let your awareness anchor in your body, not in their drama. You're not just removing your reactions. You're removing your inner presence from the dynamic. 6. Delay emotional response. Buy time. When they say something loaded, don't respond instantly. Pause. Take a breath. Respond only if needed, and always from neutrality. This delay breaks the psychological rhythm. It forces them to sit in their own tension without your energy to balance it. This is not indifference, it's not avoidance, it's strategic disengagement. You're creating a quiet wall, smooth, cold, unshakable, and when done right, they'll feel it more than any argument you could ever deliver. Part 5. When they can't feel you, they can't control you. Manipulators don't fear your anger, they fear your absence. Not physical absence, but emotional unreachability. When you go mentally cold, when your energy goes still, when your emotional current vanishes from the space, they lose their grip. Because control requires connection, even toxic connection, even distorted emotional loops. But when you stop playing the energetic game, you break their entire control system from within. 1. They start poking the void. The first response you'll see is testing. They'll try to provoke you, trigger you, confuse you, anything to force you back into emotional motion, because if you react just once, they regain access. But if you stay still, the void grows louder than any word you could say. Your stillness becomes a wall they cannot climb. 2. They escalate to force reaction. When subtle tactics fail, escalation begins. They'll push harder, create drama, invent stories, threaten to walk away. Why? Because chaos is their last weapon when calm silence dismantles them. But this is where your power peaks. You don't flinch, you don't defend, you don't follow the bait. You stay unmoved, psychologically sovereign. 3. Their identity starts to shake. Manipulators build their sense of self on how much control they have over others. When they lose emotional access to you, they don't just lose power. They lose a piece of their identity. They begin questioning themselves. Why isn't this working? What changed? Why do I feel invisible? They no longer feel dominant. They feel exposed because your withdrawal reflects their emptiness. 4. Your energy starves. Their game. Without your energy, their tactics don't land. Without your attention, their words lose weight. Without your emotional reaction, their drama dies on impact. And this is the real strategy behind mental withdrawal. You don't attack, you just stop feeding, and the whole system collapses on its own. You don't destroy them, you just let them destroy themselves, trying to chase what you've taken away, access to your mind. 5. The shift is permanent if you choose it. Once you taste the power of psychological stillness, you'll never go back. Because now you understand, you were never powerless. You were just too emotionally available to the wrong people. Now, you're no longer accessible by noise, only by clarity, and most will never reach that level. Be present, be silent, be unreachable. That's power. You don't need to raise your voice. You don't need to prove your strength. You don't even need to leave. You just need to stop offering your mind. Because real power isn't about domination. It's about disengagement without collapse. It's about being present, yet unreachable. No emotional chaos. No reactive loops. No theatrical exits. Just stillness. Just cold awareness. Just silence that says, "You no longer have access to me." And here's the truth most people never learn. When they can't feel you, they can't control you. They'll try harder, they'll spiral louder, they'll search for the old version of you, the one who used to flinch, explain, overthink, overgive. But that version no longer exists. Because now, you've built a mental fortress around your peace. You don't fight for space. You don't beg for respect. You don't explain your energy shift. You simply move differently. You've pulled your presence out of the battlefield, and now they're swinging at shadows. Let them. Because once you learn the power of mental withdrawal, you never go back to overexposure. You stop being reactive. You become precise. You stop being readable. You become untouchable. And that is the most confusing thing for any manipulator. They can't control what they can't feel. They can't touch what's no longer available. They can't dominate a mind that no longer dances to their rhythm. That's not indifference. That's sovereignty. That's not passive. That's strategic silence. That's not avoidance. That's elevation. You've seen the system. You've unplugged from the game. And now, you control what they'll never understand. Your energy, your attention, your mind. Stay silent, stay sharp, stay unreachable. That's power.